The next guy, Anthony, that we want to talk about and comp is Troy Franklin, a guy that I think has kind of fallen out of favor, especially if we're talking with the 28th pick.
He's a false god.
He's a guy that really comped to us as Jameson Williams, and I know Jameson hasn't quite panned out quite yet, but I do think he's on the verge of having a breakout season. But what are your thoughts on Troy Franklin? You know what he's going to bring year 1, year 3, and even into the Bills offense.
I was disappointed. I think like a lot of people were at his combine time, running that 4.41, considering how much he flies on tape. And then also some of the stuff came in of like he was sick going into that week, and that's why he didn't run great. That's why his weight was off. He also just didn't have a great performance in general, especially in the gauntlet. But you watch him on tape, and he's just pure burner. The ability to stack corners and get downfield. The speed and the juice are very real. He can change gears in his stem and separate almost in the blink of an eye. He can run defenders off with his speed. The thing that I don't like the most is, and it's made me question like what I'm watching versus what other people are. Like I hear a lot of people talk about how great of a route runner he is, and I don't see it. Like majority of just what he is running those vertical stems, goes, posts, hitches, hooks, maybe an in every once in a while or a slant. I don't think there's much deception or suddenness necessarily consistently in his stem, but you see his ability to win with speed, his feel for space, his ability to get downfield. And I think that's where that intrigue comes in, and also pairs with Jameson Williams, who you're talking about. Pure burner, wins downfield, wins in that vertical aspect, knows how to take advantage of space. He's someone that you drop into an offense and you immediately have to account for him in that vertical way, either as a field stretcher and just pulling coverage or as a legitimate threat like you see here in these clips where, again, like if he's even, he's leaving, and you just can't cover him one-on-one with all that space. Oh, yeah, look at a little hesitation, and he's gone again.
Yeah, it's for him, as you see the release here, I think that is one thing he does a bunch of. He kind of walk releases, right? And that kind of lulls the defender to sleep. He kind of closes the cushion, but he's walking out, but then he turns it on. Dang. And that's when you see the explosiveness. So he can definitely beat, teams that want to play man coverage against him, especially press man up near line of scrimmage. Here's a little footnote for you. The number 1 wide receiver against press jam coverage was Troy Franklin. We talked about Diggs in this afternoon about, facing press coverage and the number 1 wide receiver facing press man coverage. Diggs was number 1 for that. So a guy like Franklin, you can see why the Bills want to, have a visit with him. You see some of that nuance near the releases and how he converts, just that walk release into that explosive play. And that gait, it's different. And I think it also plays a part in why he's probably not the most nuanced route runner or crisp route runner, but that right there, you can't teach. You can't teach that. You can't teach, busting angles with that type of speed. Watch it from the end zone angle and how he manipulates his stride and that gait to fool the defender. Number 4 coming down right here. See him right there, change that gait, turns that guy around, makes him think that he's going to put his foot in the ground and come back across the face right there, but he doesn't. He just gets up to top speed. And I want to say he was much like Leggett, in that 22 to 23 mile an hour range. Like he took off. It was like watching Usain Bolt in the 100-meter dash. Like it was that type of gait and speed. And he covers some ground with that long gait.
And even like a caveat to being like, man, I was disappointed with his 40 at the combine. It was only like a 4.41. Like that's still extremely fast. And if the reports are true of, like he was a little under the weather and wasn't hitting what he wanted to, like I thought he was going to run in the 4.3s. I still think he has that capability. And again, he's sitting there at 4.41. Also some fun stats for him. Amongst 110 college players last year that had at least 80 targets, he was 2nd in EPA per target, and he was 5th in yards per route run. He is an advanced metric darling in a lot of ways. When you're looking at a lot of charts and different pieces, he's in that upper right quadrant for a lot of things, usually like high in your x-axis and your y-axis. There's a lot to like with his game on the tape from a speed, field stretching perspective. I think he's another one too. What can you get out of him from a route running perspective? If you can get more of that complete package put together with that speed and separation ability, he's somebody that, can mean a lot to a team. And this is a great example. Being in that upper right quadrant here for EPA per target and yards per route run.
Yeah. Thanks to Chris, our producer, for, putting this together. You can see some of the top players that we've talked about already and where they stand, being up in that top upper right. That's where you want to be. And you can see the comparisons here more from just a standard look at it. It's just some of these players are very good. They're going to be very good at the next level, in varying degrees, especially if we're talking year 1 versus year 3 projections.